Welcome everyone to another Riding with the Marks. We just got out of Hellboy.
Woo! That was interesting. Interesting indeed. We're trying something different, obviously, with Riding with the Marks. Facing this way, so lucky you.
Facial.
All about that facial.
So yeah, it's a little dark, so we're trying to have the lights on a little bit in the back there. Yeah, Hellboy is getting trashed like crazy on Rotten Tomatoes. A little bit, I can see why, a little bit, but at the same time, these motherfuckers just don't know how to have fun.
Yeah.
50-50. I can kind of see what they're talking, well, some of them. I can kind of see what, you know, it's like, it's not a good movie.
No, it is fucking, as Matt put it right when we walked out of the movie, actually I think like midway through the movie, is like, this movie is batshit crazy.
Yeah.
That is a fantastic way to put it. Entertaining at parts. Some shit is a lot of stuff that gets opened and they don't close the loop on. So you're kind of like left thinking, okay, well, they set up for something and then they just leave it at that. Just a lot of craziness. Not nearly as vulgar as what a lot of the reviews have been saying.
Yeah.
Which Matt and I both, Matt pretty much, you know, as we were walking to the car, he said, you know, I was kind of disappointed in the fact that there's hardly any cuss words. And I was like, yeah, exactly.
Hardly is not exactly, but like some of these reviews, like there's like 3 or 4 Rotten Tomatoes review where it's like, this is just profanity filled. They're just using profanity for no reason at all. So I was expecting fuck like every 3.
I would say in comparison to Deadpool, it had a lot less, unless I'm just numb to it.
Well, they said shit a lot.
Yeah.
But like, I was expecting
a couple fucks.
There's a fuck right in the beginning, and I think that just had, oh my god. Like, it's 4 words in, boom, fuck, right off the bat. That's pretty cool. And they were bitching about the blood and gore, and yeah, there's some blood and gore, but not like I thought there would be.
No. And if you ever play, like, several video games, that's what the blood and gore kind of reminded me of. This is obviously very demon heavy. And, yeah, CGI heavy, very demon and underworld-centric. And the blood kind of matched that. So, not like a super realistic feeling from, like, a, you know, a more realistic movie. It was more what you would expect it to be given the type of film that it was. So yeah, I don't get what people were saying. I was expecting a ton of nudity or something. I didn't look at the rating. I just was expecting it to be a lot more like, okay, I get those criticisms. No, not at all.
No, the people are pussies.
If you want to criticize things for this movie in terms of pace, the fucking craziness of it, it was almost just like, let's throw shit at a dartboard and say, yeah, let's include that in there. That's what it felt like. About halfway through the movie, I thought to myself, like, who comes up with this shit? Like, I you know, I get it, it's Dark Horse. It made me want to read a
Hellboy comic. I personally never read a Hellboy comic, but I'm like, how many of these things are actually in the comic?
It was just, it was pretty out there.
The creatures, the different dimensions and stuff. I was very curious at one point. I'm like, man, how many of these things are in the comics and stuff? Because this shit is insane.
Yeah,
it is insane. So David Harbour doing Hellboy. He's okay. I mean, he's not really blowing any doors off, but he did have a weird approach of constantly screaming all of his lines.
Yeah.
It was really weird. It was like he was always wound up or something like that, and they just never had a moment where he was, well, except for in the beginning where he was subtle, but it was just it was weird. It was like he did a bunch of scenes beforehand, and this was the peak of the scene, and that's the scene they put into the movie.
Yeah, I guess.
The editing, I had to look up the editor. I don't remember the editor's name now. Like,
no,
we were. I was like, this editor, this guy had the hardest job, I think, on set, or hardest job period, because, and it was only one editor. It said one editor. I'm sure there's a bunch of other people that worked on it, but they had one guy's name come up, and I was just like, wow, yeah, because this guy pieced together this movie and tried so hard and you could tell there's obviously reports out there if you've seen the you know, on-set situation, the crap that's going on. Of course, no one's ever going to really look into it much more anymore because, hey, the movie's going to come, it's going to bomb.
Yeah.
And they're not going to really focus on it anymore. But
we're obviously opening week, and there was hardly anyone in the theater. So that'll kind of tell you how well it does in box office. They do, I don't know if this is a spoiler, but they do set up some different things for a sequel, kind of. So maybe they're just kind of leaving a door wide open there, just in case they decide to produce a sequel for this.
Yeah. No, that ain't happening. It's not happening. It's crazy. It's a crazy fucking movie. There is literally no logic or reason in it.
No, and they incorporate a lot of extra nonsense just to it almost just felt like to extend the movie, and it kind of matched.
But then they speed through
flow.
those things,
right?
That was the funniest thing. It's like side quest, montage.
Yeah, montage through it. Boom, boom, boom.
Done. It was like, what the fuck was the point of that? Like, it was just montage your way through something, and it only took like 5 minutes out of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
interesting. They're like, well, we got to speed through this. So, the trailers. I wanted to talk about the trailers because I was led to believe this movie would be a lot different than it was. It's not shoot from the hip comedy. There is comedy in it. I chuckled a lot. There were a couple things that I laughed hard at. But most of it was just kind of like a loose chuckle, like, oh, okay, and then some things kind of fell a little bit flat. But it's not, the trailers, in my opinion, kind of pin this movie in one light, not Deadpool-esque, but sort of. So a lot of people were looking at it like, huh, this is going to be a comedy. No, not really. It's just crazy. That's I don't know what other word to use aside from crazy. Just out there. Yeah, there's
some tongue-in-cheek to it too. They kind of tried to make it like almost Deadpoolish with the kind of some fourth wall breaking a little bit. But it's not fourth wall breaking, but they do try to be meta. You know, they tried to I mean, there's jokes about the sequel, and there's, you know, some other things as well that they're really trying to, you know, hey, look, it's funny because he's a demon. And
right. And they incorporate like an iPhone. We'll just throw that out there. Different things like that to make it a very real world, an Uber. But it's just, I don't know. Still trying to, I think, dissect it all and really is.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
There's just so much random shit in it. It kind of really felt like it was directed by multiple people. And again, back to those on-set issues, you know, I don't know. But there's some points where the action, the fighting feels like one person did it. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about some of it where, like, it was actually kind of cool. Kind of a shitty green screen, but the way things were going, it was kind of cool. And then later on, it's jump cutty, you know, that shit that I hate so much, shaky cam and fighting and everything. It's like multiple different people did these fight scenes or something. And it was very, very inconsistent. But, you know, it's a crazy story. It's a fucking weird-ass thing. If you just want to see a weird rated R movie, it's definitely, you know, worth it, I guess, for the most part.
I would say... I wasn't
bored.
No, not at all.
More of kind of like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
And then that shit would pop up and like, oh, okay, of course.
And at one point I was like, yeah, of course. Yeah. just throw that in there.
Yeah, exactly. Why not? You've already done so much.
The title sequences, they channeled their inner Civil War.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Big old white letters right on the screen to let you know where they're at. Yeah. Wow.
There was a lot of stuff that I felt like they pulled from other comic book movies. There's things where, you know, they're pulling off a hood and then it does a quick zoom and then, you know, it's like slow motion and then you know, kind of stuff like that, like you would see in a lot of superhero movies. Somewhat not Zack Snyder-esque, but just a lot of superhero movies tend to incorporate those types of things in there. I would definitely say probably not a theater visit, but as Matt said,
Yeah.
If you just want to check it out, yeah, maybe.
I don't know. There's just some, like, if you just want to,
if you have a cheap movie theater in your town, you want to wait for it to hit to that, or you know, you have a sweet setup at home. The music was pretty cool in a lot of parts.
It was super generic at some parts, but some of the fight scenes, it had a good rock and roll riff to it. Yeah, and I felt it. I was like, yeah, you know, it felt like an 80s like action movie, just kind of ridiculous. The hard metal, just, yeah, it was just it was cool. I was just smiling the whole time because that was fun, even if it was just completely insane. The plot kind of sucked, the story sucked, the dialogue sucked, but other than that, just fucking crazy. I mean, one guy turns into a fucking moth. All right, like just no reason at all, and I'm just gonna say that. That's it. That's all I gotta say. It was just, oh man.
Yeah, just very interesting.
Take what you will.
Yep.
In case I don't see you.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. You're one of very few to make it to the end.
Yes, thank you very much.
Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Comic Movie Marks Podcast and hit the notification bell. You know, all these fucking YouTube channels say this shit, so I'm going to say it now.
Yes, it's perfect. And if you want to hear our full podcast, you can check out our podcast on iTunes or any other podcast subscription service.
Make sure you subscribe. Thanks again.